Well, for the second largest, yes, the second largest donor in the Democratic primary in 2022, here is your 2-minute intro video to the one and only Sam Bankman Fried. Colin, if you will.
In 2018, he changed courses from Wall Street trading to the relatively new world of cryptocurrency investing. In the ensuing months, he founded FTX, an exchange that allows users to buy and sell cryptocurrency. Revenue was driven through charging customers trading fees and selling an FTX-created crypto token. By 2022, FTX had skyrocketed to a valuation of $32 billion, sending Bankman Fried's wealth and notoriety soaring. Later in 2022, concerns about FTX started when CoinDesk reported that Alameda Research had a lot of assets tied up in FTT. Alameda Research is a cryptocurrency trading firm co-founded by Bankman Fried in 2017. Within days, fellow crypto exchange Binance sold all of its holdings in FTT, which amounted to $580 million at the time. Binance's exit triggered a wider sell-off, forcing FTX to halt withdrawals, putting billions of customers' funds in peril. Around the same time, it was reported that FTX lent customer deposits to Alameda Research to help it meet its liability. Soon after, on November 11th, FTX filed for bankruptcy and Bankman Fried resigned as CEO.
Sam Bankman Fried, the embattled founder and former CEO of the cryptocurrency giant FTX, arrested in the Bahamas on Monday after U.S. prosecutors filed criminal charges against him.
This is one of the biggest financial frauds in American history.
FTX founder Sam Bankman Fried, once head of a cryptocurrency giant, now alleged federal criminal.
Bankman Fried and his co-conspirators stole billions of dollars from FTX customers,
exposing how the company made risky bets, binge-spent customers' funds, and made questionable business decisions.
This is really old-fashioned embezzlement. This is just taking money from customers and using it for your own purpose. Not sophisticated at all.
Like looking at that. Yeah, I'm just not sure how this is different from every other scandal other than it's just more money.
Here's the problem, and there's two lines of thought here that you have to remember. Sam Bankman Fried was a major donor, tens of millions of dollars, including, I believe, to our very own Maxwell Frost up in Orlando, gave him $1 million. Now, this money is ill-gotten gains for the most part. And what Mr. Bankman Fried had a habit of doing, for those of you who have seen video footage of him, he really does dress like a schlub when he shows up to these major events.
I don't understand why he has two last names. Is he married? Did he take his spouse's second name? Like, I don't understand why we have to call him Sam Bankman Fried.
I don't know. Who cares?
Well, I just think it wastes too much effort. Okay. Why should we do that?
Anyway, like I was saying, he is somebody who went out of his way to give a gargantuan amount of money to a lot of different candidates and, of course, the DNC. And so yesterday, for some reason, the campaign finance fraud charge that he was being brought up on has been tossed out.
Of course it has.
That's right. It's been tossed
out.
Well,
was that, I don't know what that particular charge was referencing in terms of what the facts are, and I don't know whether or not it was a legitimate charge.
The excuse for why they tossed it was because of the fact that they can't, this is the Southern District of New York, this is their excuse that was written in the New York Times, that they could not get the island of the Bahamas to agree to release this information, because it's like the United States couldn't just tell the Bahamas that we're getting this information.
Well, is that any different than Joe Biden blaming the parliamentarian for why we can't have a $15 minimum wage?
So one thing I want to believe is that the average citizen that's been kind of slowly but surely getting into the political arena and is not just completely in the tank for one of the two major parties and is in the tank for the establishment, that they start to look at these types of things and they think, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. This guy, who was the second biggest donor to the Democratic Party during the 2022 midterms after George Soros, is somehow being absolved of the campaign finance violations in connection with the Democratic Party,
it's going to be hushed up. Nobody's going to even follow that. Like, I don't think anybody's even talking about that.
Well, no, they're not. It's not that they're not talking about it. It's that they're pretending like this didn't happen.
Well, it didn't. He didn't get charged.
No, he was being charged, and they made the charge go away.
Okay, so now it's gone.
So
now
why did they make the charge go away?
He knows where bodies are buried. And I mean that figuratively.
Possibly literally.
Well, okay.
The system is broken.
That's not what I meant.
The system is broken, and it's not only is it broken, but for those of you who have been paying attention to our channel over the last couple of weeks, I have really had a bone to pick with Professor Lawrence Tribe at Harvard University, who apparently knows all when it comes to what is good for the American people. This 81-year-old jackass who has convinced everybody that RFK is running a third-party campaign, amongst Dr. Cornel West being a terrible human being for running for president in the Green Party, that the country is going to hell in a handbasket if it does not take their poison pill, because that's really what it is, get in line and vote for Joe Biden. Otherwise, this country will come apart at the seams. And yet, why do I bring up Lawrence Tribe? Why would I bring him up?
I don't know.
Because that is who Sam Bankman Fried has representing him in federal court. That's his lawyer.
And again, like I pointed out, it's a judge that is going to be extremely, exceptionally friendly to Sam Bankman Fried. I can tell just right off the bat that
you want to talk about a Mickey Mouse court type situation?
Well, right. So the judge is Lewis Kaplan in New York, and I just had a thought. I'm like, God, that name's familiar. Why is that name familiar? So I looked it up, and yes, in fact, this is the judge that threw out the when Steve Donziger won his settlement against Chevron for like $9 billion or whatever it was. Lewis Kaplan was the judge that threw it out and didn't make them pay it, and then led to all of the nonsense that ended up with Steve Donziger being basically incarcerated without being charged and tried. So this judge is somebody that is clearly not favorable to, let's say, I don't know, human rights. So I can't fathom that this is going to go well for the people that are trying to prosecute Sam Bankman-Fried.
No, and this was always, I'm not going to say that this was always the outcome, but it's very much in a way like Jeffrey Epstein somehow committing suicide in his jail cell. When it smells bad, when it looks bad, when it feels bad, you know it's bad, it is bad.
That's Arkansas-ed.
So in this case, you're looking at, and you really got to stop saying that.
It's true.
I don't care if it's true. You just got to stop.
You got to stop.
I'm asking you to please stop doing it.
I don't know.
So my point is, Lawrence Tribe is the embodiment of, you want to talk about okay boomer? You want to know where the term okay boomer is best used? It's best used on somebody like him. And here's a guy who he's much like Hillary Clinton in this regard. Hillary Clinton is going to be an old crone until she's good and buried because she never became president of the United States. Well, Lawrence Tribe is the exact same way from this perspective. He was so convinced he was getting on the Supreme Court and it never happened. Oh, well.
That's okay. Debbie Wasserman Schultz thought she was going to be Secretary of State.
He couldn't get Obama to get him on the Supreme Court. He couldn't get Clinton to get him on the Supreme Court. And this guy, because he happens to be the top law professor at Harvard, so of course he's naturally going to have an air of superiority about him to begin with. But here's a guy who's out here telling you all the time about how you better get in line and support Joe Biden, or you're a terrible person. You're a bad American. Oh, and by the way, I'm supporting one of the biggest oligarch frauds on the planet, who literally are the people. When people think of Donald Trump and what impact he has, he can't hold a candle to somebody like Sam Bankman-Fried, who can literally move financial markets. That's how significant of a person this is. You wouldn't know it by looking at the guy. You would think he's just some, fly-by-night, schlubby-looking moron who doesn't know anything. But you know what he is? He's a mathematical savant who figured out exactly how to manipulate the financial markets through crypto trading. And he became, do you know how much he's worth? $17 billion.
That doesn't,
No, 99% of the world's population couldn't wrap their minds around $17 million, much less 17 billion. That's where we talk about the wealth gap and just how out of sight, out of mind this has become.
I think the more these people are in the news, the more at risk they are for the peasants.
guillotine.
I'm sorry.
The guillotine.
I mean, it's like you again cannot build your moats wide enough. Nobody is untouchable. Please keep putting people's pictures that are the cause of all this financial shit in front of regular people who are struggling to live and feed their children. Please keep telling, because when I see people like him, all I have to do is like when I'm directing people, where should your anger be directed? And like, who should you be holding accountable for shit? It's people like this douche.
It's one thing if he was just a mega donor to the Democratic Party, but had some legitimacy to how he made his money. Not only did he make his money in the most fluky kind of way, remember, and we get into this with a good friend of ours who was on our show, won't say who, but at the end of the day, there is no regulation in crypto trading. And so this is something where he figured out how to manipulate it. He became rich and he rigged the system. And he was a donor who was basically using ill-gotten money in order to give it to the candidates. So he is a serious criminal, like a serious criminal. And the idea that Lawrence Tribe was willing to take him on as a client, if only because he was probably giving him $3,000 an hour, that just goes to show you, don't ever listen to somebody like Lawrence Tribe again. If this is, like I said, I try to be diplomatic, I try to be professional, but if I had 5 minutes alone with Lawrence Tribe, it wouldn't be good. Because he's the type of person. He's the liberal.
See, some people just need an ass kicking.
He's an old man. He's God knows when he'll keel over.
Well,
my point being is that he is a bad guy. Lawrence Tribe, I pray to God you see this. I pray to God people who like him see this and get it back to him and have to answer to this. Answer to why you tell people that it is life and death to vote for Joe Biden, and yet you are out there literally supporting, covering for, because that's what you're doing. You're covering for Sam Bankman-Fried. And you know what honest attorneys do in this country? They don't take the client. No matter how much effing money they throw at them and say, get me off. I'm a crook. Get me off.
I don't agree with that. And I am a lawyer, and I don't agree with that.
He is entitled to a fair trial. But there is no question that the reason Lawrence Tribe is taking him on is because of his mega donor status for the Democratic Party.
Well, yeah, his reasons for why he's taking a client, but the bigger issue is he representing him ethically? Is he doing what he's supposed to do? I mean, I believe everybody deserves representation, obviously. So
I agree, but come on.
I'm just saying, it's like, what his reasons for representing him to me are not really relevant. The fact that he is otherwise a douche, that's another story.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.